I did join the Air Force after high school and became an aircraft mechanic. I was stationed at Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino, California with the 63rd Military Airlift Wing, and I was a reservist with the 445th OMS, or Organizational Maintenance Squadron, and I attended Mount SAC full-time to get my aviation degree there. I worked on C-141 Starlifters and C-5A Galaxies, just huge airplanes. And then I transferred to Hill Air Force Base in Utah, and I worked on F-16s, and I was in the 419th Reserve Unit there. And while there, I attended Weber State University and took a geography degree there. I was a crew chief on the F-16s and just loved them. I flew my butt off at Ogden Airport there in Utah. I started Aviation Prep Academy and had a really good time there teaching people from age 12 to 75. I think my oldest student was 75. Just had a blast doing aviation the whole time. Once I got my degrees, I kind of went full-time military at that point. I was a flight engineer on the C-130 Hercules. Oh man, I skipped some time. I was also a KC-135 crew chief with the Utah Air National Guard for a short time, and a boom operator refueling the airplanes in the air with the Utah Guard for a very short time. But I got the flight engineer slot on the C-130 Hercules at Little Rock Air Force Base, and so I transferred to Arkansas full-time with the 188 Tactical Air Training Squadron there at Little Rock Air Force Base, and there's where I got all my C-130 flight engineer time there. And so I had a blast. I did 8 years with the Air Force before I went in the Army, and I will talk about my military career in a future episode. This episode here, number 2, was just about my solo. I just wanted to talk about, it's been 40 years since I soloed, and it's just remarkable that I can look back and remember everything about it. Hi, this is Brian, and welcome to my video series. This is episode 2 of season 1, my quest for recertification as a one-eyed pilot. Today's very special in my aviation career. February 12th, 2021. This marks 40 years since I soloed for the first time at age 17 in El Monte, California, Los Angeles County. What a day that was. I have some of the pictures. I apologize that the pictures aren't that great. It was an old 110 camera. Anybody that remembers an old 110, it wasn't the best camera to have. It had been raining that week in California, so my solo time kept getting postponed and postponed. I was ready, but it just, the dates kept getting postponed because of the rain and foul weather and just awful. Finally, we had a break in the weather, and all of a sudden my instructor called me and said, "Hey Brian, you want to solo? We can do it today." And I was like, oh man, my sister, I want my sister there. My dad was readily available. My sister Leslie was visiting a friend, and I kind of hurried to get a hold of her and said, man, I want you there. So she kind of hurried, and she wasn't able to bring her beautiful 35mm Nikon camera that we could have captured that event. She wasn't able to make it home to get that and come in time to watch me solo. So the only thing we had was this little 110 camera, and it's the best we could do. So we did capture some of it, but I have all these pictures scanned. They're all digitized. They're all saved for posterity. So I'm just glad I have them, and I can look back and remember all of this. Mount Baldy. Anybody that's from Southern California knows Mount Baldy. There in the mountain range from Mount Wilson on to San Bernardino. I learned to ski at Big Bear, so I really had fun flying up to Big Bear Airport and flying all over Southern California, actually. Catalina Island, over the Queen Mary, over Dodger Stadium. I'd fly over the skyscrapers in Los Angeles. You know, way before 9/11, it wasn't a big issue to have a small airplane fly in the vicinity of these buildings. Over Dodger Stadium, over the Rose Bowl, Angel Stadium, Disneyland, everything. I just flew all over Southern California and took my friends and family up and just had a blast.
Hi, I'm Robert Perez. I've known Brian since 1979, and I flew with him many times. He was a great pilot. We went around Catalina, we flew up to Big Bear and landed, and trust him if you have to. He's a great guy and he's a good pilot.
So I would encourage people to fly, and if you have a handicap or some kind of ailment or something that you think you can't pass the medical, take a look at it and see if there's a way that you can fly. This video series is for all pilots out there to take a look at their shortcomings and see if they can't reconcile that with the medical certificate under the special issuance program, to see if you can't get certified. This video series is my quest to get recertified as a one-eyed pilot. I have no vision in my right eye whatsoever, but I'm on that quest to get recertified. I love flying and I want to get back into it. It's been a long time. It's been a huge part of my life, and I want to share it with everybody. The fun of it, the beauty of being up there in an airplane to yourself, whether you have passengers and they can enjoy it, or you're just up there by yourself in your own serenity. It's just amazing. Aviation is a blessing. My instructor, Jess Bartlett, owned Bartlett Aviation, and he was just getting going at El Monte Airport. He'd been there, about 8 years, and he was up against other flight schools like Floor Flight School and G&H. They'd been there since World War II practically, so they had years and years on him. But Jess Bartlett was very professional, very trained. He knew what he was doing, and all of his students loved him. He was very, very thorough. He was very strict. He didn't cut corners. He instructed very well, I thought, very professional. The shirt that Jess Bartlett cut off my back on February 12th, 1981, 40 years ago today. And I'm sorry I'm not filming this at Fort Smith Airport. Fort Smith is the nearest major airport to where I live. It's been nasty weather this whole week. It's rainy, it's cold, it's in the 20s and low 30s and just miserable weather outside. So I had to do this memorial video indoors and talk about 40 years ago, my solo. So as a 17-year-old at Christmas time, losing my mother, I was grieving. I was really sad. I don't even know how to cope with the loss. So Jess Bartlett, my instructor, called me and said, "Hey Brian, let's go flying." So this wasn't really in line with my instruction to solo. It was just, let's go flying. So we went flying, and I found some peace up in the air. I was like, wow, this is nice. It was partly cloudy, and we were just flying to get off the ground and just not think about this tragedy of me losing my mother just recently. So I discovered that it was nice for me to grieve in the air, in the airplane, flying through the clouds, just up in the air. Just, I found a way to grieve for the loss of my mother up there. So I decided, she had watched me take these flying lessons for all these years. It's like, I'm going to do this for Mom. I actually flew more than I needed to get my private pilot license. You need 40 hours total, 20 of it by yourself and 20 of it with an instructor or dual. I already had all that, and I went up in the air to grieve my mother's loss, and I really enjoyed flying by myself. And Jess Bartlett kept endorsing me to go farther and farther as a student pilot. In fact, I went all the way to Catalina, on my own before I had my private pilot license, because I had just flown so much and had so much experience. He's like, "Brian, it's time to get your private, let's do it." I had 67 hours of flight time already. Normally a private pilot gets his check ride about 40 hours. Again, 20 solo and 20 dual. I was way over ready. And like I said, I had my enjoyment of flying, grieving the loss of my mother, and I just didn't think about, well, I need to get my license at 40 hours. I didn't. I ended up with 67 hours before I was recommended for the check ride. But, well, I was recommended, but before I decided to take the check ride, let's put it that way. My instructor was like, "Brian, you're ready. You're way more than ready." And I just kept putting it off, and it wasn't important to me. It really wasn't. However, I did want other people to experience what I experienced in the airplane, so I did want to take passengers up. I had friends to take up. I was still in high school. I didn't graduate high school yet. I was a senior, and this was in the springtime, between February and May of my senior year, and yeah, I wanted to take my friends up, and I couldn't with a student pilot license. I had to have my private pilot license. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it so I can take my friends up. So that's what I did. I went to Jess Bartlett and I said, let's do it. Let's get our check ride. Let's get it over with. So it was Memorial Day weekend in May and he set me up with FAA examiner Elmer Riley. And Elmer Riley was like 78 years old, and he had flown in World War II as an instructor at El Monte Airport, when El Monte Airport was a satellite base airport to train pilots for World War II. He actually trained WASPs, the WASPs, the Women Auxiliary Service Pilots, in World War II. He's very, very experienced. Now think about this for a second. Okay, today's February 12th, 2021. It was 40 years ago today that I soloed, February 12th, 1981. And when I met Elmer Riley, I'm like, man, this guy is old. I can't even imagine thinking back 40 years when he was a flight instructor at this very airport. Well, okay, here I am. I'm 57 in this year. I'm 57. I'll be 58 this year. And I see 40 years ago like yesterday. I remember soloing like yesterday. You know what I mean? So it's weird that I can think of 40 years now and think about me thinking about Elmer 40 years ago in February of 1941 at that same airport before World War II, before the United States actually got into World War II because of Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was December 7th, 1941, and we're talking February 12th, 1941, so it was before America even entered the war. He and his wife had flight schools there. For anybody that has a handicap that you think may keep them from flying, if you watch my episode 1, it addresses a lot of problems. People with no arms, people with no legs, people with diabetes, people that are deaf, all kinds of ailments, all kinds of problems. The FARs, the Federal Aviation Regulations, will work, they'll provide a way, if you can control it, if you can demonstrate that you can fly the airplane safely, you can get certified under the Special Issuance Program. In fact, you can get certified in Class 3, 2, or 1, even with a physical handicap. You know, for those that aspire to be an airline pilot, you know, some airlines may say, we've got plenty of pilots to choose from, we'll take one that has both of his eyes or her eyes. Well, you may find an airline that will give you a break. Yeah, if you're a good pilot and you know what you're doing, you can fly with one eye. I feel I can do it. I've flown most of my adult life. I don't see any reason why I can't get in an airplane and fly it with just one eye, and I'm anxious to demonstrate that. I haven't done it yet. I haven't obtained my SOTA yet, but I have a flight school. I have instructors ready to take me, ready to get me certified, and I have an audience here that really wants to follow this and see what happens. I want to do it for you. I want everybody that has an ailment or a handicap or something that can fly to get out there and fly. I'm hoping this will motivate you. Please do it. And keep track of your flying. Take pictures, take videos. You know, pass it down. The fun to your descendants, to your kids, your grandkids. I have kids, I have grandkids, and I want them to know flying was fun. I don't want them to be scared of flying. You know, a pilot, if they're going to crash or do something, it's probably because they did something stupid. Most crashes are pilot error, and I used to teach aviation safety, so I definitely know. And also, study crashes, study disasters, and see what went wrong. Try to learn from somebody's mistake. I mean, it's awful that it cost them their life, but if it can keep you from costing yours or the people that's in your airplane as passengers, learn, become a better pilot. That's what it's all about. So thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this 40-year memory with me. To a lot of people, they're probably not even 40 years old watching this. But trust me, when you get older, you'll remember everything, all of it. Hopefully, if you don't get Alzheimer's or dementia, if it don't set in too soon, I feel sorry for those people. But at least while you remember it, have fun, remember it. Share it with your family. Talk about it. Don't let your memories die. Pass them down, pass them on. For those of you that had found One-Eyed Brian on YouTube, that's me. I started One-Eyed Brian when I first lost my vision in April of 2018, and I started that channel to post things medically about monocular vision, to keep track of what a monocular person can do. And I found that I had a lot of positive response to the video I posted about pilots being able to fly with just one eye. In episode 1 of this series, I actually showed the FAA website where we went in and found that information in the FARs for monocular vision for people with one eye to be able to fly. So this is One-Eyed Brian coming at you from Crawford County, Arkansas. Thank you for watching this video series.
Monocular pilots around the world pay tribute to Wiley Post, the most famous one-eyed pilot, for blazing the way for one-eyed pilots to be medically certified in the aviation world. May Wiley Post and Will Rogers rest in peace, and good luck, Brian, with your quest.